Watch out, it's the warning track.
Welcome back to another episode of The Warning Track. I'm your host, Clayton McMahon. Here on a Monday, episode 17. We're starting to stack up some episodes here. We've got a long track record at this point. We're getting a lot of content out. We love it. Uh, Pretty much 2 weeks into the season here. Ton of injuries. I feel like on Friday's episode, I mentioned, offense has been pretty slow, but not too many injuries really. Well, weekend completely tossed that out of the window. I think I even recorded that episode a little later than I do for a Friday, maybe like early afternoon, late morning. And I don't even think it was a couple hours later that there were injuries out of nowhere. There's some early games on Friday. So we'll kind of catch up on all the injuries that happened over the weekend. Like I said, there were a bunch of them. Not too much on the closing carousel this weekend, but a couple things of note, as well as looking back at some of the hitters. So on Friday, I did the slumping sluggers bit, kind of just talking about some of the early round hitters who were off to really slow starts. And some of them must have heard, some of them must have watched the show because a few of them showed out, a few of them haven't yet. A few of them wanted to, but then Joe Adell decided to just shut that down. 3 home run robberies in one game. Absolutely insane. The CBS Fantasy Podcast pointed out perfectly. Forget the fact that he made the catches, but just the probability, the odds of 3 batted balls being in a position to rob a home run. I don't know what the numbers are, but I gotta imagine it's pretty slim. As well as maybe kind of talking about some potential waiver wire replacements for these injuries, as well as a couple guys maybe you could drop. Hint Roki Sasaki. We'll just say that straight up after his national start. But yeah, let's get right into it. So kind of looking at the injuries first. One of them that happened Friday was Cade Horton. This was a pretty unfortunate one. Coming off the fantastic rookie year last year, and his first start of the season was really good. Pitched a scoreless first inning and then came out in the second. If I remember correctly, there was a pretty big velocity dip. Yeah. His last pitch was clocked just under 94 miles per hour, which is about a 2 mile per hour dip from where he usually sits. Then it came out that it was a forearm strain and that he will be going the IL. That's pretty much a given. Probably one of the outside of like Tommy John, obviously, probably one of the worst injuries you can see for a pitcher is forearm. Maybe elbows up there too. But this is pretty unfortunate. I actually have him in a league, so that especially stung. But probably got him in mid to maybe early late rounds of your draft, and so yeah, seeing him get hurt, not ideal. Kind of heading to an earlier round name. Mookie Betts went in the IL with an oblique strain. He was kind of off to a slow start. Had a couple homers, 7 ribbies, but batting under the Mendoza line. I guess there hasn't been a specific announcement about his timeline recovery, but according to a report from the Orange County Register author or reporter Bill Plunkett, said an oblique strain usually carries a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. So probably won't be seeing him until pushing June, like early May, early mid-May. So that one's unfortunate. I was not really super high on Betts coming into the season anyway. Hunter Brown, this one came out of nowhere because he finished his start earlier in the week and pitched well. Six innings, one in a run, 8 strikeouts, got the win. But yeah, he got placed in the IL with a right shoulder strain. Not really sure when it happened. Could have been during like a bullpen session in between starts. Yeah, there definitely has not been any news about what his timeline could be. Some people have speculated, I guess I missed this, that he threw 102 pitches in his first start of the year, which I feel like you almost never see that, especially for opening day. Obviously, pitchers are just protected with bubble wrap these days. Lawler, now we talked about this one on Friday, I think briefly, because he got hit on the hand, but they initially said the x-rays were negative, or that's just what it was. But then apparently they did a CAT scan, CT scan, they did reveal a wrist fracture. And so he's going to be out pushing 2 months. So you probably won't see him until mid-June, I would say. Very unfortunate. He was off to a great start. Home run, steal, batting .333. Finally was getting playing time. I know prospect fans for years have lamented kind of how the Diamondbacks have handled him. He was playing the outfield too, so it almost had dual eligibility. So that one's very unfortunate. If you have an IL spot, definitely stash him. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, you probably won't see him for a couple months. I don't know how fantasy relevant this is. I can't imagine he's super high rostered. Yeah, I mean 4% in ESPN. But Justin Verlander did go on the injured list Saturday. Left hip inflammation. Looked really bad his first start with the Tigers. Not the reunion. I think fans or fantasy managers were hoping. All 4.2%. He might be rostered a little more. Let's see how much he's rostered in Yahoo. Yeah, not much more, 7%. As the numbers indicate, you probably don't even have him rostered anyway. And if he was healthy, I wouldn't have much confidence in him, but just figured I'd announce that. It looks good seeing him in a Tiger's head again. Juan Soto, kind of maybe this is a little better news, if you will. So Juan Soto on, was it Friday? Yes. He came up limping, I think, running from first to third. Yeah, reached base on a single, appeared 2 weeks calf, yeah. And they announced it was a calf, and I'll be honest, I was very, very nervous about this one. I mean, this was from Saturday. The Mets manager, Carlos Mendoza, said, quote, "There's obviously concern anytime you send a player for an MRI. In those areas, the calf area can be tricky, so we've just got to wait." And then, fortunately, and I have him in the league, fortunately, on Sunday, they announced that he was day-to-day with a minor calf strain. He sat out Saturday, sat out Sunday, and the Mets aren't playing Monday. So I actually think that works out really well. Give him 3 days off, give him some time to rest. Hopefully he comes back Tuesday. Juan Soto, I mean, I guess last year obviously stole a bunch of bases, but it's not necessarily what he's known for. So hopefully he just kind of takes it easy. Maybe they even DH him a little bit. But was having a great season, batting .355, homer, 5 ribbies, off to a good start. So thankfully it was nothing worse, but that was a huge scare. And then just some straight up good news, if you got him. Seiya Suzuki is expected to rejoin the Cubs Friday. So basically end up amounting to missing 2 weeks of action. And so, I mean, if you were somebody like me, so I got him in Hundo, I got him for like in the round, or like 120s. Excuse me. Where he was normally going like in the 80s, maybe 90s, prior to the knee injury. So if you were able to get a discount on him and just missed out on 2 weeks, I mean, in ESPN, this was just one matchup because they took the half week and just added it on. So really only missed Seiya Suzuki for one matchup and got him 4 rounds later, essentially. Yeah, I think you're sitting pretty if you're able to get Suzuki. So hopefully he comes back on Friday like what's planned and has no issues. Now, kind of getting into the coaching carousel here. Like I said, there really weren't too many big developments over the weekend. I think the biggest one easily is Gregory Soto, who got the save on Sunday. We reported last week multiple times about how there were multiple instances where he was warming up to come into the 9th inning. Pirates tack on some runs in either the 8th or the 9th. And so he technically didn't get saves, but was in a spot to do so. He's put up fantastic numbers. Yeah, he has 11 strikeouts through 5 1/3. Like I said, just got his first save on Sunday. And so I think the thing that was notable is that specifically both guys pitched, Dennis Santana and Gregory Soto, because Braxton Ashcraft pitched well, got through 6 innings. They brought in a reliever for this, or no, excuse me. Sorry, this is Sunday's game, or was it Saturday? Oh, now I'm getting my days mixed up. Pirates, or was it Friday? Well, either way, Gregory Soto did get a save, and yes, yeah, okay, it was Friday, and has looked good. Like I said, he's been dominant. There was reports right before the season started that where Don Kelly said that he was going to look at possibly mixing in Gregory Soto, and so far it's pretty much all been Soto. I don't believe Dennis Santana has any saves. I think this was the first save by any Pirates guy all year. Yeah, and Dennis Santana hasn't been bad. Actually, he's gotten 2 wins. Not that that's really what you drafted him for, but he's been fine. It just seems like, at least so far, that Don Kelly is pointing towards Soto. So he's only owned, at least in ESPN. Gosh, I think it was maybe like 5% of leagues, something like that. 5, 10, or he's up to 10 now. 10% of leagues, I think anywhere where saves are a stat, you absolutely have to have him. My guess is he's more rostered in Yahoo. Yeah, he's up to 23. I've noticed that for whatever reason. Maybe ESPN just has the most casual fantasy fan base, but it seems like roster numbers are way lower in ESPN compared to Yahoo. So, yeah, definitely need to get Gregory Soto on your team, even if it ends up being something where it's a half and half. If he's putting up K numbers like this and getting you some saves on the side, yeah, he needs to be rostered. Saves plus holds leagues, it's not even a question. And then the other one, I felt pretty good about this even going into last week, but was watching the Tigers game last night as they finished off the series with the Cardinals, and Riley O'Brien came in for his second save of the year. Stanek came in the 8th inning, but I think did he give up a run? Or no, he did. Yeah, he pitched a scoreless 8th, but that's now 2 saves for Riley O'Brien. I think if you have to choose one reliever, it's absolutely him. I guess if you really just want, or maybe it's a saves plus holds leagues. I don't think Ryan Stanek, I'm not a believer in him, but they've clearly were using him initially. Some people were saying that they think Riley O'Brien, the reason he wasn't used initially early in the season is just because he was apparently ramping up from a calf injury he suffered in the spring. But to me, I feel like Riley O'Brien is pretty much the only Cardinals reliever worth adding. I don't necessarily think Jojo Romero in most cases is worth rostering. He's pitched well too. He hasn't been bad, but it seems like Riley O'Brien's the guy. So I'm glad one of these guys worked out, because I guess he didn't get a save, but we can kind of talk about Clayton Beeter, the Nationals, man. That bullpen is rough. So they were up. This kind of reminds me of a similar way to Friday, where I don't think he got the save. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that. Was that Friday? Well, let's talk about Sunday first. So, yeah, they were up, 6-3 heading into the 8th. And it was, oh, boy. Yeah, it was brutal. So this Poland, PJ Poland came in, gave up 2 runs. So that's what made it a 6-3 game. And then the Ciano Perez came in and just absolutely imploded. 4 earned runs, didn't even record an out. And then Beeter came in, which I believe the note said he came in with bases loaded. Oh, it's going to be Yahoo. For some reason, Yahoo has more notes too on players. Clayton Beeter. Yeah, a lot of 5 straight runners. Beeter entered with only a 1-run lead. Yeah, was charged with a tough blown save after coming with the bases loaded and none out in the 8th inning, and still pitched an inning and 2/3. So yeah, I don't know. They about have to give it to Beeter at this point. I think Cole Henry is maybe a sneaky play, like if you're in really, really deep leagues, but they've just used Clayton Beeter so weird, because the same thing happened Friday, I believe. Let's make sure I'm not seeing out about that, like Gregory Soto. And it was the same thing where I think a Poland or Paulin, however you pronounce it, came in, or no, was it Thursday? What day was it? Yeah, it was this game. So that was against the Phillies. So I probably talked about it on the show, but it was the same thing, or no? Well, there was one game where it was the same idea, where they brought in a reliever. He just basically melts down, and they bring Clayton Beater in to kind of do some damage control. Just seems odd to me. I don't know. I mean, I guess they obviously have to get to the ninth inning somehow. Clayton Beater can't just pitch every inning, but I still think he's the reliever to own for sure. Out of that spot, like I said, Cole Henry maybe in super deep leagues. I'm not even really super excited about Clayton Beater anymore, like it was during draft season. But if you need saves, you need saves, and so I think those are some spots to look for. Now, kind of getting into so, like I said, I did a segment on Friday, slumping sluggers. I brought up 5 names. These were all early guys drafted in the first 3, maybe 4 rounds, depending on one of them. But early sluggers that you drafted, obviously, as anchors of your team, and we're not doing too well to start. One of them was Brent Rooker, who I have on 2 teams and was really, really struggling. Had no runs, 1 RBI, no home runs, no walks, and then was batting well under the Mendoza line, ton of strikeouts. Well, Sunday changed that really quickly because he had 2 home runs, including a walk-off three-run shot, had 6 RBIs. Batting average still isn't the best, but that definitely boosted his numbers a ton. And so that was good to see. It seemed like the offenses definitely woke up somewhat over the weekend. Yeah, he's still batting $176, but at least has 2 home runs, 7 RBIs now. And then the other guy was Ohtani, who each game this weekend had multiple hits, 2 home runs. Yeah, both Sunday and Friday. So now he's batting 273. I mean, obviously early on it doesn't take that much for your numbers to shift pretty drastically. So, and keep in mind too, I think I mentioned it on Friday. There were maybe a couple guys like Junior Caminero or Cal Raleigh where I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of their ADP. That being said, they're obviously all very, very good hitters. So it was nothing like, yeah, you need to be shopping these guys or try to do anything you can to get rid of them. I don't think it was anything like that. And then speaking of Caminero, he hit a home run on Sunday. He still doesn't have eye-popping numbers, but we talked about him Friday. His plate discipline's been solid so far. I don't believe he struck out at all over the weekend, and so yeah, it's still sitting at seven walks to 6 Ks, batting 257. Just doesn't quite have the counting stats yet, but he's been fine. Cal Raleigh had a home run robbed from Joe Adell, one of the 3 he did. And then, well, Julio's still struggling. He was one of the 5 names. Julio's just always been notorious. Same with Lindor. They're both kind of having slow starts, but they've always been notorious for that. So it's not necessarily ideal, especially in like week to week weekly matchups, like head-to-head categories. But it's Julio. It's Francisco Lindor. They'll be fine. The last thing I want to talk about, kind of some names, whether it's like a Cade Horton going on the IL, Hunter Brown, or you just want to drop guys like, say, a Shane Smith or Roki Sasaki, who, like I said, just was abysmal. Jacob Lopez, I wouldn't even be upset if you dropped him, having terrible control issues right now. I think he's walked 5 in both of his starts. Yeah, he has. He at least put up some strikeout numbers in the second one, but it's still been bad both games. Just a couple guys, at least in ESPN, are probably more available. Maybe not Yahoo. I was looking at ESPN roster rates. All these guys are less than 50% owned in ESPN. We'll look at their Yahoo numbers as we list off each one. One of them I would say is Kyle Harrison, who we know has prospect pedigree and has looked really good for the Brewers so far. He's 37% owned in Yahoo, which is still not super high. I think it's only like 10% in ESPN. So I need to find these ESPN, or 15%. I need to find these ESPN leagues and get all the all the good waiver guys. Parker Messick, if he's not owned yet in your league, what are you doing? He has been really, really good so far. Definitely has prospect pedigree on top of it. Plus, Cleveland just always seems to be on top of that kind of stuff. My guess is he's pretty well owned. Yeah, 43% in Yahoo. So still not owned a majority of leagues, but 43 compared to 25. Yeah, Yahoo or ESPN just definitely seems to be lagging in terms of their managers. Rhett Lauder. His numbers kind of faded. He's a 14% owned. I actually picked him up in one league. It's looked good so far for the Reds. I don't even know if I'm super, super excited about it, but I think I'd rather have him than rookie Sasaki at this point. And then a couple hitters. Jordan Walker, like I said, I watched a bit of the Cardinals series against the Tigers this weekend. He looked really good, especially Saturday. Yeah, had a grand slam, stolen base. At one point was one of the top prospects in the game. So maybe speculate on him. And then Max Muncy with the Athletics. If I could type. Oh, it's just not gonna show up. Here we go. Who, depending on the format, is eligible in a few different infield spots. Has looked really good. 2 homers, a steal, batting .314. Offers some flexibility. He's been starting regularly. So I think he's somebody to consider as well. And so that's pretty much all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining this kind of weekend recap. Like I said, we're at episode 17 now, the warning track, which is just crazy to think. Thank you guys for tuning in. A little surprise regarding Mike Zanetti, who has been gone for a while. Maybe we'll just save that for a surprise later in the week. It's good news, fortunately. So hopefully you've still been keeping him in your thoughts and prayers just as we have. And so until next time, I'm Clayton McMahon. Thank you for joining another episode of The Warning Track. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Watch out, it's the warning track.